Oh, this is a very short video, but for me, it's a very important subject, and it's a subject which I think is really key to magic in my view, and that is congress with spirits, spirit contact, and all of this this subject of actually dealing with the spirits and having communication with the spirits. I think this is really at the crux of a lot of magic, in fact, and it's something which it was brought into focus for me in about 1990, I think, reading Michael Bertio. And as soon as I heard him talk about this stuff, so many things just really fell into place. And for me, this is the very heart of the sort of magic that has been running through my life and that I'm interested in. And I don't consider myself to be any kind of an expert practitioner of anything, but it has been my life. And communion with the spirits is one of the most important things you can engage in. Communication with the spirits is one of the most important things you can develop. Learning to find ways to interact with them and to listen truly, so that you understand when you are actually hearing something or perceiving something, which is a genuine communication. And I think those are very, very important things to develop. They are similar in some ways to developing intuition, but it really is just an essential subject as far as I'm concerned, and an essential reality that you need to engage with if you wish to really progress anywhere in magic, as far as I'm concerned. For many people I know, this sort of thing smacks of spiritualism, and it smacks of all sorts of things which they see as a little bit beneath them, but they shouldn't really. Spiritualism is has quite a history, and many people have actually engaged with spiritualism and spiritism, and it's something which is of great value. If you think about it, we see it reflected backwards in time in different sorts of settings. We see it in the the Seith Kona. I think it's the word is the Seith Kona. The woman who is the sort of like the seeress, yeah, sitting on the high seat in Norse traditions. We see this in many sort of like oracular type of things. So spiritualism is not to be looked down upon. It was a resurgence of something actually very old and very primordial. And I think this is not a bad way of seeing things. So seeing things as spiritualistic and spiritistic is perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. Another thing to consider in this respect is if you think about all of the things that come out of the grimoire tradition, all of the congress with spirits, which are the sort of thing, the bread and butter of so much grimoire magic, yeah. Whether these are demons or angels or other kinds of spirits, this is the absolute bread and butter of magic in this period when these grimoires are produced, and so we should also look at this. And the grimoire tradition has been the basis of actually so much, really. And so here again we see that congress with the spirits is an immensely important thing, and has been there all along as the foundation of so much. Now, as for how you develop your relationships with the spirits, I think in practice this is often a very idiosyncratic and varied thing for people. They have to find their own way of hearing, their own way of perceiving. Just as you find your own voice, in a sense, you have to find your own way of listening. And that can take some time for people. However, Of course, there are various guides in this respect, and I mean, like someone like Michael Bertio is, I think, a really insightful guide for a lot of things, and his hoodoo system um, is, I think, very fruitful. And if you're called to that, I think that's a great blessing. Um, but often, in terms of your learning to listen directly to the spirits, um, it is a matter of your getting to hear true, if you see what I mean. Managing to actually um, tell what is your inner voice and what is something coming through your imagination and through the capacity of your imagination, which is a receptive capacity here, coming through that, um, and you managing to actually hear what is being imparted there. Um, I mean, with spirit communication, you get what you get, basically. You don't necessarily get what you want. Yeah, and so it's something of an idiosyncratic process in many respects. But if you're following something like a hoodoo path, or the sort of path that Mr. Bertio lays down, you obviously have practices there which can help you with various things, and there are all sorts of things in this. You're forming relationships. You're forming real relationships with real beings. Um, not all of not all of whom are human, and um, and so there are different things that go into this. There are elements of devotion. There is prayer. There is meditation. There are different things. Yeah. Certainly, if you want to have a look at Mr. Bertio's Verdun Gnostic workbook, I highly recommend it. Um, uh, it's one of those things that I think you need to feel a connection with, yeah, though, and so you can see how that goes if you like to take a look at his work. I mean, I think he's absolutely wonderful, and I think it's a great blessing that I became aware of this teacher and this man. But the actual development of spirit contact, I think it is rather like the development of intuition. It's in part a knack that can only be developed by you actually doing it, if you see what I mean. And you know, when these things arise spontaneously, especially particularly if you're pretty young when they happen, they can be pretty chaotic. However, it does come out in the wash, and we do have guides. We do have spirits that look after us. Yeah, and we can appeal to these as well. So I hope that's maybe a little bit useful. In any case, thank you for listening.